In this era, there are many comic book movies and shows releasing every year, and many of them are starting to suffer from comic book fatigue. And very few of them are actually stories that stick with me, that emotionally resonate with me. Especially this year in 2021, we have had so many Marvel and DC projects, and I have an unpopular opinion based on the Marvel Disney Plus shows. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is actually my favorite one, and it's the one that has resonated with me long after watching it. I also think that it is the most underrated because majority of the people's favorite is either WandaVision or Loki, which is fair, but it's upsetting to see Falcon and the Winter Soldier being referred to as the other show, which is why in this video I wanted to talk about episode 1 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I think is a masterpiece. One thing I love so much is that the first shot of the series isn't some big scene about the plot, but it's just about a man ironing his clothes. Isn't that beautiful? The beginning of an entire action series opening on such a simple shot of Sam Wilson ironing his clothes, wearing it, and looking at the Captain America shield with utmost uncertainty. I love this because it clearly sets up our protagonist's entire inner conflict in the first scene without any dialogue. The visuals speak for themselves and they are extremely impactful. Then there's a really great action sequence that takes place where Falcon has to save an officer from some bad guys. Sounds typical, but even after rewatching this episode, I remembered how thrilling it was. Firstly, the location. Falcon has to fly amongst these big canyons, so it's a rough terrain and he has to fly amongst all these rock formations. And in action scenes like this, most of it is special effects, but this felt different. Firstly, the special effects are, really great, but also the action scenes, other than all the punching and kicking, are shown for real. In the set piece where Falcon is flying along with some other bad guys, there's obviously special effects, but there are also a few shots where you see actual people, and it adds a sense of tangibility to the action set piece. Plus, it works because Falcon has a clear goal, right? This isn't an action scene for the sake of it. He has to save this officer from a plane that has been hijacked. Plus, one more thing that makes it engaging is that Falcon has some trouble flying. He hasn't completely mastered this, and there are rocks falling on him, so he has to move here and there to save himself. And the camera too is moving along with him, which helps us understand the speed at which he is flying. Even after the set piece, we just see Sam and this other officer just talking. They do talk a little bit about the plot, mainly about the antagonists of the series, the Flag Smashers and their beliefs, but it isn't just that. A man comes and thanks Sam for saving his wife. We actually get to feel like Sam is a hero saving people. And nowadays in many superhero stories, we don't see the hero actually saving people. They save the world, sure, but when they save an individual person, it feels more personal and it feels more heroic. Then we see Sam talking about the legacy of Captain America's shield, and there's a great shot where he's standing in front of this image of Steve and he looks at the shield. It's a powerful image and visually showcases his internal conflict. And his fear of living up to this legacy causes Sam to give the shield to the government. And Rhodey's presence works because his question to Sam lets us know why he gave the shield away. Sam feels like he isn't worthy of the legacy of Captain America. And it's also terrific how they walk in the Captain America Museum when talking about this, as it is literally the place which is an entire collection of his legacy. Then the scene switches to something else. We know that it's no longer Sam's storyline because of two things. First, the change in location. Second, the instant color tonal change from blue to yellow. Suddenly, the Winter Soldier breaks in, fiercely murders many people, which made me wonder whether this is a flashback or did Bucky actually go back to being the mind control murder machine. He then shoots this man who we were introduced to in the beginning of this scene, and the gunshot quickly cuts to Bucky waking up. And then we realize that it is a nightmare of his past actions as the Winter Soldier. This is when we realize that the series has now switched protagonists. Our main character is now Bucky, and the thing I love about this is that, see, I love the Captain America movies very much, but one minor criticism I have towards them is that Bucky doesn't feel like a real character, such as Steve or Tony. And the benefit of having a Disney Plus show is that you can actually flesh out these other side characters that did not get enough screen time in the movies. So Bucky is now doing therapy, and she talks about how he's a loner and how he needs to reach out and make more connections and relationships. He has to move on from his traumatic past, and now that Bucky is free, he can do whatever he wants. And it isn't just that, the filmmaking too is much more creative. Instead of the typical shot reverse shot, this series has actual bold filmmaking choices. There are many intense close-ups when the talk gets personal, and many shots are framed in such a way that Bucky is at the center or occupies a small area of the shot, all in service of visually portraying his defensive nature and loneliness. Then we see him hanging out with this old man, Nakajima. And yeah, it's cute, it's sweet, but we wonder why. Why is he hanging out with him? Who is he? What importance does he have to Bucky? That gets answered soon enough. But then he asks Bucky to ask out the bartender, and then, he sets up a date for him, which reminded me of this very funny deleted scene from the Avengers.
Ask for her number, you moron.
Even in the actual date, it's really sweet and it works because it's human and small scale. After seeing Bucky fight Nazis and aliens, it feels refreshing to just see him on a date, talking to this other person just about his personal life and about him as a human being. Now about Yakajima, in the bar he gets emotional as he reminisces over his dead son, and as he talks about him, the camera slowly lingers on Bucky and his reaction, and without a single word of exposition and just through his face, we realize that the Winter Soldier had killed him in the nightmare we had seen earlier, and we instantly realize that he's friends with Nakajima because he's guilty about killing his son. And in that scene, we hear a small part of the Winter Soldier's score to show that it's his actions that causes this man's sadness. It's great character work as it makes us care about them. Bucky even once walks towards Nakajima's room through a hallway that is really well lit, and he wishes to tell him about his actions, but is too afraid and he walks away. This is Bucky's internal conflict, coming to terms with his past actions and how it affects his choices and relationships in the present. Now we see Sam and his family life. Turns out he has a sister and 2 nephews, and they own a boat that is their family heirloom. This grounds Sam from this large superhero to just a man who has his loved ones with him. But it isn't just that. This too has conflict. Sam doesn't want the boat to be sold because he has a personal connection to it. Meanwhile, his sister wants to sell it because, well, they're broke and they need to earn. Plus, Sam had been snapped for 5 years, which caused his sister to be left alone with 2 sons and struggling with the family business as well. The series doesn't take one side but lets us know and understand both perspectives. Also, it feels so wholesome to see a comic book character with such smaller and personal stakes. There's a beautiful scene where Sam is inside the boat and he's looking at these old pictures, which visually conveys his connection to his past and how important this boat is to him. He has lost his parents and this boat is his last connection to his parents. Also, because they don't have a lot of money, Sam and his sister go to the bank for a loan, and the banker is clearly an Avengers fan, but instantly grounds Sam as well because the banker isn't able to give them the loan because of the changes in the rules after the snap. Even Sam's absence affects them in not being allowed a loan. And I love how the other aspects about the MCU is talked about here, but not just for an Easter egg, but it shows how it's affecting the characters of this particular story. It builds on the conflict between Sam and his sister, and it is also great to see a superhero going through monetary problems. It's very Spider-Man 2-like, and it also grounds him as this person who's going through problems we normal people face. And the final scene of the episode is also genius because it takes Sam's internal conflict about living up to Cap's legacy and pushing it to its pinnacle. Upon learning that the government had taken the shield Sam had given away and has introduced a new Captain America. This sets new stakes for the theme and conflict of the show and also makes us wonder what's about to happen now. But this episode really works because it not only introduces us to the plot but also creates scenarios and gives us reason to care about these characters by giving them their own personal and internal conflict that is relatable and empathetic. I really love this show and I just had to talk about it. It isn't just some random show but a story that really has these complex characters with filmmaking that isn't bland like many MCU projects, but has these bold lighting and color grading choices that adds to the well-written scenes. If you haven't seen this show, I suggest you give it a watch, and if you have seen the show and don't love it, well, I hope at least I've given you my perspective. Thank you for watching and have a great day.